This stop is Totten Avenue and Cross Island Parkway. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 212th Street. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 212th Street. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 14th Avenue. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 14th Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 16th Avenue. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 16th Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 18th Avenue. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 18th Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 23rd Avenue. Transfer available to Q28. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 23rd Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 24th Avenue. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 24th Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 28th Avenue. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 28th Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 29th Avenue. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 29th Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 32nd Avenue. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 32nd Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 33rd Avenue. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 33rd Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 33rd Road. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 33rd Road. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 35th Avenue. Transfer available to Q31. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 35th Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 38th Avenue. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 38th Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 39th Avenue. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 39th Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 41st Avenue. Transfer available to Long Island Railroad. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 41st Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and 43rd Avenue. This stop is Bell Boulevard and 43rd Avenue. Next stop, Bell Boulevard and Northern Boulevard. Transfers available to Q12, N20G and QM3. This stop is Bell Boulevard and Northern Boulevard. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 212th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 212th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Corporal Kennedy Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Corporal Kennedy Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Clearview Expressway. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Clearview Expressway. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 204th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 204th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 202nd Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 202nd Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Francis Lewis Boulevard. Transfer available to Q76. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Francis Lewis Boulevard. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 196th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 196th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 194th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 194th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 192nd Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 192nd Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 189th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 189th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 172nd Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 172nd Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 171st Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 171st Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 169th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 169th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 167th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 167th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 165th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 165th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Station Road. Transfer available to Long Island Railroad. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Station Road. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 161st Street. Transfer available to Q28. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 161st Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 159th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 159th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 157th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 157th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 154th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 154th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Murray Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Murray Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 150th Street. Transfers available to Long Island Railroad. Q15 and Q15A. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 150th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 149th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 149th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 146th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 146th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Parsons Boulevard. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Parsons Boulevard. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Bond Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Bond Street. Next stop, Union Street and Northern Boulevard. Transfers available to Q16, Q20A and Q20B. This stop is Union Street and Northern Boulevard. Next stop, 39th Avenue and Lipman Plaza. Transfers available to the 7 train, Long Island Railroad. Q12, Q15, Q15A, Q17, Q17 Limited, Q19, N20G, Q20A, Q20B, Q25, Q25 Limited, Q26, Q27, Q27 Limited, Q34, Q44 SBS, Q48, Q50 Limited, Q58, Q58 Limited, Q65, Q65 Limited and Q66. This is the last stop. This stop is 39th Avenue and Lipman Plaza. This is Q13 to Flushing Main Street Station. A fare is required to ride.